Hello, everyone, and welcome once again. I am JT, aka the Master, and this is the Master Plan. As you know, I've been notifying people through Facebook, and I'm also going to do it through Instagram, and I'm also going to do it through Twitter, that this is the last show of the Master Plan. But hold on. This is not the last show completely that I'm going to be on. I'm going to be on. I'm rebranding, people. I'm taking it to another level, hopefully. Totally different. And as of next week, the show will no longer be Jerry Taylor Presents the Master Plan. It's going to be, for no reason. Now you're going to say, what the heck is that? Well, I'm going to tell you what the heck is that is in a minute. But I have to tell you this. Because I'm waiting for this to come up. Waiting for this to come up. This will be my new background. And what it's going to be is totally different than what you see. Totally different than what you see. And I hope you like it. Hopefully. And and I'm trying to bring it up, and I don't know why it's not coming up. But you'll see it in a minute. Give me a minute here. And I'll show you my new logo, and you'll be able to get me on Twitter, Instagram, and why won't this come over here? Why won't this come over here? There we go. All right. As of next week, I will be not Jerry Taylor Presents the Master Plan, but what the heck is going on here? Oh, there it is. I will be this, people, and it should be coming up shortly. Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. No reason. Fantasy football. That will be my new logo. That's what you will see on my background as of next week. And hopefully you'll enjoy the new program. New things are happening. One of the reasons I'm coming on other. Excuse me. Let me rephrase this. I'll be doing YouTube, notices on Twitter, and also Instagram that you'll be able to see it, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it. This week, okay. Let me eliminate this. Let me get this out of the way. This week, I'll be doing tight ends. Tight ends. That's what I'll be doing. And hopefully you will be able to enjoy what I have to say about tight ends. Okay? And I'm going to show you This is first what I'm going to do. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. And if you know anything about fantasy football, you know what I'm talking about. Is that in fantasy football, rookie tight ends have a tendency not to blow up. They have a tendency to be, I wouldn't say bust, but since in the Super Bowl era from 1967 until now, there have been 899 tight ends taken in the NFL draft. Of those 899, not one has reached the 900 receiving plateau as a rookie. As a rookie, Rob Gronkowski wrapped his first pro season with 546 yards. Greg Olsen with 391 yards. Tony Gonzalez. Now, you know Tony Gonzalez is a Hall of Famer. And he's also probably named as one of the greatest tight ends of all time, had 368. The last tight end to hit 900 yards. Now, get this. The last tight end to hit 90 yards was over 62 years ago. 62 years ago. Mike Ditka, back in 1961, who had 1,076 yards, and the only time in his career he topped the 1,000-yard mark. Teams aren't, or at least until more recently, had not been drafting tight ends to be instant impact playmakers on offense, reserving those expectations instead for running backs and wide receivers. Now, I recently talked to an individual who said that, that tight ends were on the upswing. They were on the up, and I didn't quite. He said this is going to be a growing trend for tight ends. Now, there are some people in fantasy that their strong suit is a certain position, and I have to admit, I'm not strong on tight ends. Okay, I do know a lot about. I do know a few things about tight ends, and I like to think that. I mean, I do know a little bit, but not a lot about tight ends. And I'm going to put this here. Let me hold on, people, because I got to do something here that I'm screwing up, and I want to make sure that I get Victor on the show. And I want to make sure I get Victor on this show. And let me do this, and this, okay, and this, and send it to Victor. Okay, like I said, I'm sorry, I apologize. I wanted to talk about tight ends. And what I'm saying is this: Victor and I talked to had on the FSP show, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on a Saturday afternoon, had talked to one of Victor's friends, and I'm not one. To tell you the truth, I don't have tunnel vision. I like to look at the big picture in fantasy. To tell you the truth, and he had a friend on, and his friend was a coach at one point. And his thing with tight ends, he said this tight ends are on the up, okay, that they're up and coming. And I wouldn't say it somewhat downplayed it, but I did not think too much of it. Well, to my fault, and I'll admit it, to my fault, and I definitely admit it. I didn't realize until I took a second look that this season, there are a lot of good tight ends coming into the NFL. And it all depends, people. It all depends on where they wind up. Where the tight ends wind up. Is it going to be an offense that is tight end friendly? Or is it going to be on offense that all they use the tight end for, or they only want to use the tight end for, is an extra blocker? That makes a difference. But in this day and age, you got Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. You also have T.J. Hockenson, Darren Waller, to name four, right there, 4 out of 32. And I know I'm missing other tight ends. Kyle Pitts, 5. I'm missing other tight ends, and other tight ends that are possibly going to come up that are going to be important to a team's offense. And like I said, each case is different, but tight ends arriving in the league typically fall under one of the two categories. They've seen primarily as blockers, which I talked about, without the requisite athleticism or role within their new offense to produce big numbers, or they're pass-catching threats who struggle to get on the field early because they aren't reliable enough when they have to block. Now, that's what I had talked about. That some of these teams don't see their tight ends worth. And you have to think that with the new offense that's taking place within the NFL, and with the West Coast offense, which is prevalent, which is really rampant throughout the league, which is not a negative, that the tight end is going to be used. And should be taken into account in the offense. It's getting harder to find guys that do both. Now that's a quote from John Robinson, the GM of the Titans, who had the good fortune to inherit a dynamic tight end in Delanie Walker. And most people who know about Delanie Walker from Tennessee Titans, he was a very good tight end. He started off, if I'm not mistaken, in San Francisco. They didn't know how good he is, or didn't have the patience to develop him. And he had 2 receptions as a rookie in just 31 yards over his next 2 years in the league. That's what I'm talking about, okay? That's one of the things I'm talking about. He did not bust out as the player we know until moved from San Francisco to Tennessee. Now, we all know Tennessee is primarily a conservative offense, likes to run the ball. Quite naturally, that's where Derrick Henry got his name from, the king, because he was the king of the rushers for a couple of years. I don't know about this year. I have to question. But in the offense, because They did at the end a few years ago before A.J. Brown moved over to the um, San Francisco, to the Philadelphia Eagles. They did have a very good wide receiver, and I told you about that wide receiver the year he busted out. But they don't have the type of wide receiver when the A.J. Brown was there. But before that, they didn't have the wide receiver, and they used Delaney Walker heavily in the passing game, and that's where the tight end gets his name. Oh, and you know what? I named all these other tight ends. I named Pitts, um, Dallas Goddard. I forgot the name. I also named Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, uh, George Kittle. I forgot him, but we're talking about elite tight ends. But and this class, I'm going to be naming this a couple guys from this class about that. Okay, I'm going to name about that, and I'm going to be naming about 12 tight ends. About 12 tight ends that I'm going to show you about 12 tight ends. And let me get this out here. I'm trying to do more than one thing, and it's screwing me up. Let me get this out there. Delaney was coming out, and this is a quote from John Robinson, the GM from Tennessee. Delaney was coming out. I remember scouting him. That's a quote. He was basically a receiver at Central Missouri State, and that's the kind of how they used him in San Francisco, and he slowly improved as a blocker and got more catches. That position group is a lot to learn. They have to know the run blocking, they have to know the pass protection, the routes. There's just a lot of stuff on their plate that they have to know offensively. During the Super Bowl in February in Houston, Cowboys tight end Jason Witten discussed this topic during an interview with SI.com. For those who don't know what SI.com is, SportsIllustrated.com. And he said this. This is a quote from Jason Witten. Long, one of the best at his position and a likely Hall of Famer. Witten turned in a 35-catch, 347-yard rookie season for Dallas. He said it took him almost half that 2003 campaign before he really began hitting his stride. Okay? This is a quote from Jason Witten. I don't know that it's a learning curve. I just think it's a hard position to play. In this system in Dallas, until you consistently block at the point of attack under, and at that time was Bill Parcells' system, they weren't going to put you into go catch seam balls. I think guys are making the transition easier and easier in year in, year out than it was 20 years ago, even 14 years ago for me. But I think that in college football, you can get on the perimeter and spread out. There's a lot of check down underneath stuff, and in pro football, the coverage is tight. So the blocking aspect is at the heart of this discussion. And that's what John Robinson made mention of, what a task it is these days to find a college tight end comfortable as both a receiver and a blocker, because many of the country's premier draft prospects simply do not have to fill the latter role that often. Blocking, I'm talking about. That I'm talking about blocking. I'm waiting for Mr. FSP to come on. And take Chicago's Adam Shaheen, for example. Now, Adam Shaheen is a tight end out of Chicago. Quite honestly, like I said, he set an Ashland, Ohio University school record last season with 16 receiving touchdowns. Also, an NCAA Division II record for tight ends. He tested well at the combine including 24 bench press reps. He's a 6'6", around 280 pounds, and has the coveted background as a former basketball player. And until he attended the Bears rookie minicamp and then OTAs, he admits he really had never pass blocked. Okay? The tight end position is just so dynamic. This is a quote from Adam Shaheen. Being part of the run game and pass game, you got to be smart to play it, and I think behind quarterback is one of the toughest to learn and make that transition, not only in the playbook, but also in techniques, because they have to block. They have to run block. And sometimes, depending if they're part of the pass play, block, pass block. Coaching staff have little recourse but to throw these guys into the fire. For Shaheen, at a recent training camp practice that meant blocking Leonard Floyd during a passing drill, Cleveland tight end Seth Duval, welcome to the show, Norman, came from a blocking assignment during his NFL regular season. Brandon Graham, Philadelphia Eagles, game one last year, that was kind of eye-opening experience. The line between tight ends and receivers continues to evaporate at a steady clip. Now, this is what the guy we had on 2 or 3 weeks ago, who is very high on tight ends, was talking about. Very high on tight ends. What was talking about. And you can see, I can see. I can't say you can see. I can't speak for you. That the tight end position, if you follow fantasy, there's more and more tight ends that are either showing what they can do, and part of the offense, obviously, Darren Waller, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, just to name a few. And soon to be tight ends coming into the league that are going to show their worth. And if the Val goes on and says, blocking is the thing I've done the least. That's when we're talking about tight ends in college. They're involved heavily in the pass game and not so much in the run game. After making 2 receptions in the Browns preseason opener, route running I did in college. 3-point stance blocking, I didn't do a lot of. Think about that huge gap that is in the player's game as he enters the league. The reason teams invest so heavily, and sometimes foolishly, depending on which teams we're talking about, in offensive tackles, is that even the worst NFL defenses have freakish athletes off the edge. That's why you see a lot of guys, pass rushers or offensive linemen, going heavy in the draft. You get guys that are high-speed guys, the high energy guys, that are defensive guys that wanted to get to the quarterback. Quarterback, most important position. He has the ball every single snap on offense. You cut off the head to kill the snake. Okay? And the head is the quarterback in the offense. That's why you have to have great offensive tackles. Leonard Floyd's and Von Miller's and Vic Beasley's of the world can disrupt entire game plans single-handedly. The tight ends shouldn't be responsible for stifling those players on their own, but they do have to help the cause. Now, of course, they have to help the offensive tackle, whether it's a right or left tackle. They're on the edge of the offensive line. Depending on where that protection is needed, is where the tight end is going to be. So they have to be a 2-tier player, being able to catch the ball quite naturally, to be involved in the offense if that's the offensive game plan, or to be blockers. To be blockers. And, some guys, and I'll say this, some guys are better at assessing certain positions. And I totally freely admit that. I got enlightened a few weeks ago about the tight end position. not realizing that you get in fantasy football and you have these dynamic players. Okay. Like I said, for example, now I'm not going to name them. Just because I name a few doesn't mean I'm left out the other ones. Darren Waller, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and I can go on with a lot of good tight ends that are in the league, but I'm just to name a few. But these guys, and like I said, these guys early in their careers, guys like him, Tony Gonzalez, and I'll say this again, Tony Gonzalez. And I've said this before, tight ends don't normally have big seasons in their first year. Tony Gonzalez had 368 yards in his first year. Greg Olsen had 391. Rob Gronkowski, everybody knows Ron Gronkowski, more than likely is his first ballot Hall of Famer, had 546 yards as a tight end in his first year. And like I said, there's been only one, 62 years ago, only one tight end that's had 1,000 yards. And that's Mike Ditka. And he never hit that mark before. After. 1 year in 1961, Mike Ditka, in his rookie year, posted 1,076 yards. The only time in his career he topped the 1,000-yard mark. But the tight end at this point is used heavily. Now, I'm like I said, I'm going to go through some tight ends that probably are going to be good in dynasty. Let me put it that way. They'll be good dynasty players because the fact is, a lot of tight ends historically, 60s. I got a 60-year history, over 60-year history of tight ends not being bust-out players in their rookie year. So these guys, in my opinion, if you're a dynasty player, are strong players, are going to be good players to play in their second and maybe in their third year, depending on how they progress from year 1 to year 2, 3, 4, whatever. Remember, Delaney Walker didn't really break out until year 3, 4, because at the time he was with the San Francisco 49ers, who drafted him. Just remember what I'm saying here, okay? So this is particularly for dynasty players who play dynasty football, fantasy football, thinking about the tight end position. And let me bring in Mr. FSP. And what's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm fine. I'm great. I'm great. I'm great.
I don't know.
Huh?
2 weeks in a row, technical difficulties.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you're here now, right? You're here. Okay. I got wrapped up in the show, and I thought I sent you the whole link, but I sent you the email, but I sent you nothing with it.
Oh, I know.
Okay, but you're here now. Anyway, have you heard what I've been saying for the last 5-10 minutes?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what's your thoughts on first year tight ends?
I would say there aren't that many expectations of a first year tight end other than Kyle Pitts in the past. Well, since Kellen Winslow Jr., there were expectations of him since he was such a high draft pick, but not much appeared. Kyle Pitts, year 1, we can say that wasn't a breakout year. He was targeted. He had some moments, but not a breakout year. This class should be a decent class. Chris Joslin was talking about the kid from Iowa a couple weeks ago on Fantasy Sports and Politics, and he's more than likely to be a day one starter because of his ability to block in line as well as be a pass receiving tight end. But I don't see one being dynamic this year. But somebody might surprise us. That's it.
Well, like I said, there's a 60 plus year history on tight ends that are not big achievers in their first year. There's been only one. I couldn't say it like any better than there could be only one, but there's only one. And when I'm looking at and for anyone that plays fantasy football and should know about, Kyle Pitts. Okay, Kyle Pitts was a highly touted tight end, but I wasn't high. Tell you the truth, I wasn't high on him for the simple reason tight ends don't do a lot in the first year. Now, I didn't know how bad, I wouldn't say how bad, but how less productive they were after their first year. On the first year. You got Tony Gonzalez. You got Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski did better than Tony Gonzalez and a few named tight ends, 546 yards. That's not much for it. I mean, that's decent, but it's not great for a pass catcher in fantasy. Now we can see Rob Gronkowski's storied career after that. Tony Gonzalez's storied career after that. Jason Witten's storied career after that. About how much they improved and how much of they were involved and a key asset in their offenses. But in their first year, they're good fantasy picks. First year, they're good dynasty picks. If you play dynasty, their first years in good dynasty picks. But I have to admit, I'm going to go through a few tight ends here that are the type, supposedly the top 12 tight ends, and go through them, and hopefully what the heck happened here? Hopefully we have a flawless. Let me do this here.
You're already not having flawless because you can't get it.
Something just showed up here that I don't know why. Let me see if I can get rid of this damn thing here.
It's not on the screen.
No, it's not. It will be on the screen. That's why I'm trying to clean it up.
Oh, you got some adult stuff. Never mind.
There it is. Yeah, I have. I'm going to share a screen with you, and I want to be able to go through the players, and you see the players as we go through them. And what the heck is going on here? Okay. All right. At number 12. All right, let me get this here. At number 12. Come on. I'm trying to share the screen, man. Here we go. At number 12, we have here we go. No, not that one. This one here. All right. At number 12, we have. You're going to be moving over. Okay. At number 12, we have. That's number 10. Don't want number 10. At number 12, we have Zach Kuntz. He's equally dangerous. This is a scouting report of this guy. He's equally dangerous in catch and run situations, as Kuntz has taken the top off the defense and made Bruce Feldman's freak list. Okay. 255 pounds, 6'7", ran a 4.55. Okay. What's your thoughts on an ODU, Old Dominion University, Zach Kuntz?
Let's consider where he played. Old Dominion. and look at his numbers. Stature-wise, he fits the mold of an inline blocker. Outside of that, I don't know. I don't know much about the kid, but
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to be a boom or bust. But at 6'7", and he's 255, it's a tall drink of water. Very tall drink.
Tall drink of water, and he should be able to hopefully handle some edge rushers or tight ends. I mean, a tight end or linebackers coming on the edge. That's probably going to be at 6'7", 255, because most tight ends are around that, or maybe a little less. He should be, unless he can't handle speed. And that's the big problem with these tight ends. I mean, tight ends. I keep saying that. Linebackers coming off the edge and rushing. That they're being drafted with a lot of speed that he's going to have to handle if he wants to stay on the field.
True.
All right. Let's move on to the another tight end. This is tight end from the U. This is and I'm going to say it like this. This is light in the ass tight end, 239 pounds, 6'4". He ran a 4.54. Okay. Now this guy is more of a pass catcher, in my opinion, than a blocker. And probably not used too much in the run game, or is going to have to learn how to be a run blocker in this, because he's like I said, he's light in the ass, and he's 6'4". He's got some nice, decent height. I'd rather have a tight end a little taller, but 6'4". This is somebody around. And if I'm not mistaken, Evan Ingram was around this. If I'm not mistaken, I think Evan Ingram was 6'3" or 6'2" or something like that. With the Jacksonville Jaguars, he was about the same weight, but Evan Ingram, I think, was a little bit shorter. And quite naturally, this may be an Evan Ingram type of tight end coming into the league. And has the skills to stand out in the red zone with a sneaky foot speed and long stride to top produce.
I don't know why we just lost Jerry, but I'll try to keep it going with my cat crawling all on me. When you're talking about anybody from the U at the tight end position, you have to think about, as I said earlier, Kellen Winslow Jr., Jeremy Shockey, things of that nature, where they're not the best blockers. They're oversized tight ends. And that's what this young man is going to be viewed as. I mean, oversized wide receiver, not oversized tight end, but oversized wide receiver. His ability to catch the ball is going to be paramount to his success in the NFL. He'll learn how to block. He'll block just enough. Let me put it that way. He'll block just enough to make it. I don't know what's going on with Jerry. He's in and out like a robbery, but he'll block just enough to be dangerous, but not have a big impact just yet.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one, Cameron Latu. Now, I don't know too much about this guy, and this guy is right along the lines of a just a strictly pass catcher. 4.62.
That says linebacker edge rusher. That doesn't say tight end. Unless they got it messed up.
Yeah, they got it messed up. He's in the tight end. He's in the tight end list, so it's a strong possibility.
Your site is flawed.
Huh?
That the site is flawed.
Latu has strong hands and extremely competitive, and Latu has an innate sense of what's timing when it comes to elevating and high pointing. So obviously, this guy's 242, 6'4". He runs a 4.62. I don't care what it says about linebacker, edge. This is a guy that's in the tight end group. So this is probably what his strongest suit is versus on the other side of the ball at being a pass catcher. And this is basically what he is: 242, 6'4", 4.62. He's a pass catcher. That's what he is. Don't know too much about him. He's out of Alabama. So, what's your thoughts?
So I know a little bit about him. The thing is this: for no reason, I know about him. You know, that's my job. For no reason to know these things. He is the inline blocker for Bama, whereas the other young man is the pass catching threat. So if that gives you any idea of why they have him linebacker edge rusher, he's a big dude. Even though he's 6'4", 242, he moves bodies.
That's in college. How's he going to do in the pros with guys bigger and faster than him?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't answer that. All I can say is I know what they had him doing in college.
Well, let me pose this one question to you. Now, you know what they had him doing, so he should be more adept at blocking in the NFL, and he's experienced at blocking and at catching the ball. So and what I'm saying is
he's a decent catcher, not as good as the guy sitting in front of him who should be higher up on your list, but
okay. I don't. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think he is. Well, we'll see.
What? How you gonna have the best tight end not on this list? But go ahead.
Okay. Let's talk about this number 9 guy. 248, 6'6", 4.69. Varies the speed of his route using hesitation and shoulder fakes to get the defender guessing. He's a lanky and long arm, but okay. He's out of Cincinnati. 6'6", 248. Josh Wiley or whatever. What do you think about
Mr. Say whatever. That's his name, brother. I would say Travis Kelce and Sauce Gardner and a bunch of other Kobe and all those other folks. Cincinnati had a very good crop of players. Desmond Ridder was the benefactor of a great deal of great play or very good college players his last year and some change at Cincinnati. I would not be surprised if this kid came in and took somebody's job. Height-wise, 6'6", 248. He's not going to, blaze anybody with that speed with a 4.69. But think about this. Some receivers ran a 4.6.
Yep.
So he's going to be a valuable asset.
First year?
First year. I believe so. I don't know, where he's going to – it also depends on where he goes, obviously. But, yeah, first year. He's a impact player.
Okay. All right. The next guy is at the Penn State. 253, 6'4", ran a slower time, 4.7. Brenton Strange bites his way off of the line of scrimmage against press coverage, showing quick, violent hands and good balance. Now, it seems like he's a great pass catcher, okay? It's just that he's got to be able to run a route and get open. What's your thoughts on this? I think this guy is probably going to be more of a pass catcher. I mean, more of a blocker versus a pass catcher. Not to say that he's not going to catch a few passes, but I don't think he's going to be a big asset in the first year of his NFL career. Talk to me.
Do you recall what an H-back is?
What's that?
Do you recall what an H-back is?
Oh, come on, man. Yeah.
Okay. That's what this guy is.
Okay.
He needs to be off the line of scrimmage in order to make sure he can get off the line of scrimmage. Violent hands, yes. Very good blocker, decent route runner, will be valuable, but he's more of an H-back, fullback slash tight end type player.
Okay.
So that's
right.
my comparison and where I think he will be value added to a team.
Well, let me ask you something. I'm going to give you an NFL comparison and see if I'm wrong or right. Doesn't make a difference, but I'm going to give you an NFL comparison. And Kyle Juszczyk.
Okay.
Kyle Juszczyk.
Kyle Juszczyk is a fullback, but yes, he is very much so an H-back.
Okay.
I would not put him in Kyle Juszczyk's category yet, mainly because Kyle Juszczyk has been in the game for a minute and has played for two teams that accentuated the fullback. So I would not put him in Kyle Juszczyk's category yet.
You have an NFL comparison?
Right now, only person I could say would be I could probably give you Chris Cooley when he first started. I'd say that. And Chris Cooley was pretty damn good. But that was when he started. Okay. He had to learn how to play in the NFL. He had to learn how to play the position. So that's what I would say.
Well, that's what I talked about earlier about these tight ends learning how to play the position, because a lot of these tight ends were pass catchers. We relied on being as pass catchers because of the spread offenses versus being able to run block or pass block against a edge rusher or linebacker in college. So anyway, let's move on to the next one, and it's Luke Schoonmaker out of Michigan, 251, 6'5", 4.63. Now, to me, 4.63 is a good time for a tight end. Now, I know you want a tight end to be like Evan Ingram, who ran what, a 4.43 or something like that, 4.48 when he was at the combine. I don't think you're going to get that from most tight ends coming out. That's unique for a tight end to be running that fast. I think 4.6 is a good time for a tight end. Anything over a 4.6, you probably can deal with, but a 4.6 and change, whatever, is a good time for a tight end. And he's 251, so he should be able to handle bigger guys coming either rushing or being able to pass, run block or pass block. He should be able to handle these. What's your thoughts on Luke Schoonmaker out of Michigan?
He's a run blocking tight end. If you look at Michigan or any Michigan games, which I did, he's versatile. He fits the mold of someone that is NFL ready to block. Hands are decent. Route running is pretty good too, but it's also based upon the fact that there was a lot of play action when he was used. They really didn't have any big time receivers at Michigan. This kid was that guy when the quarterback needed to get the ball out to somebody. So a very, very good prospect.
Okay. I didn't do it for the bottom part of this players, but from now on, I'm going to be asking you for an NFL comparison. Talk to me.
NFL comparison.
I got one right off the top of my head, but
I mean,
I'll let you.
I couldn't compare him to a current player because a lot of these current players are pretty damn good. But I would put him in the likes of Dallas Goedert as far as being efficient at both positions. Will he turn into a Dallas Goedert? He could. He has the ability to do so, but I would do that.
I'm thinking more, and I'm just throwing it out there. Pat Farmers.
Well, Pat's only been in for 2 years, and 1 year was not this past year. He was targeted a lot out of necessity, and then he also had to block a lot out of necessity. My cat's enamored with my light ring. Stop.
So okay, I mean, I didn't expect to exactly match the thought process, but it is what it is. You think of Dallas Gallard, I'm thinking of Pat Farmers being a good blogger and being to go out and run routes and catch the football. So okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk. Let's move on to Sam Laporta, a tight end out of who the heck is that?
Iowa.
Iowa. Thank you. 245, 6'3", ran a 4.59. Sam Laporta. I know you're a college guy. You've watched a lot of college games. I can't honestly say that I have, and I'm quite naturally leaning on you for some thought process on these tight ends. Talk to me.
This is the guy that Chris Joslin was talking about. Sam Laporta actually is going to sneak up on some people. He's George Kittle. He's from the same place George Kittle was. So if he translates to the NFL like George Kittle, I think he'll be better than George Kittle.
Really?
If he translates well.
Okay. All right. But quite naturally, he's got to go into the right situation. Who knows how to get the most out of a tight end in the offense? Am I right about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's for everybody though.
That's true. All right, let's move on to number 5. Tyker Kraft. Out of that.
Go ahead. I know you don't know. North Dakota, man. North Dakota State.
North Dakota State. Thank you. 254, 6'5", ran the 4.69. What's your thoughts on this guy?
Not much.
Really?
I don't have much on him.
Okay.
I can say that he's not Tucker Kraft. I don't know why you keep playing with that, but the young man, oh my goodness. The young man is 6'5", 254, prototypical running back. I can say, not running back, tight end size. I can say that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And when you're prototypical tight end size, you're going to be put in as an inline blocker.
Right.
That's the bottom line. Even though he's ranked high, right? It says his measurables, which were showcased in the combine drills, a very productive, and it doesn't finish it, but very productive player. He was the go-to guy once old boy Watson left, right?
Okay.
So that should tell you his ability, but he's going to have to prove it in the NFL.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to number 4. These going to be some names that people may understand. Luke Musgrave, a tight end out of, what's that, Clemson? That's not Clemson. That's
bro. Who? That's Oregon State.
Oregon State. Okay. Thank you. You're the college guy. That's why I'm relying. I told you I'm relying on.
But this is your list.
You're the co-host. You're supposed to pick up the host. Just like you told me yesterday or times before. You're the co-host. You're supposed to pick up the host.
You're right. So let me do what the co-host does. I'm going to run the show.
253.66. Talk to me about Mr. Luke Musgrave out of Oregon State.
Musgrave is a beast. I look for him to be a heavy pass receiving threat in the NFL. Don't let that 4.61 fool you.
He has game speed, you tell me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, game speed.
Okay.
He has put great potential. Great potential. I can see him if he gets to, let's say, San Diego. I mean, not San Diego. The Chargers. I could see him easily becoming Herbert's number one target, especially with Keenan Allen's contract being an issue and he might get cut. He could easily become that go-to guy.
Okay. All right. Number 3, and these guys you're going to want to, and not to say that 4 through 12 that I showed you already are not guys that you want to think about in Dynasty, but I'm thinking these top 3 are guys that you really want to target in Dynasty leagues. And this next guy, if I'm not mistaken, is projected to be the number 1 tight end off the board. Even though I have him at number 3, he's supposed to be projected to be the number 1 tight end off the board. And he is Dalton McCade out of what is that? Huh?
Kincaid, not McCade. Kincaid.
I thought I said Kincaid.
It sounded like I said McCade. Out of Utah.
Out of Utah. 246. That's around Evan Ingram size. I think Evan Ingram was 238, if I'm not mistaken. 6'4". But he ran a 4.71. But this is supposed to be an elite tight end coming out of college. Hopefully he goes to a situation that is friendly to a tight end in the offense. Talk to me about Mr. Dalton Kincaid.
I have a question. Why do you have him number 1, but on your rankings number 3?
Because I like these two guys ahead of him.
But you like him number 1 to be?
No, I said he's projected. He's projected to come off at number 1.
Oh, okay. All right. I like him a lot. Just like the description says, he has soft hands. His ability. He is a Chris Cooley. Very much a Chris Cooley.
Hopefully he can stay a lot more healthy than Cooley.
Or Delaney Walker, I should say. Guy can block, guy can run routes, guy can catch. Very, very. I agree with you. He should be one of the top tight ends taken. Probably not gonna be, but definitely in the top 3 of quarterbacks taken. Tight ends taken.
I appreciate you coming up and getting up early to join the show. I appreciate that, and I'm not going to criticize you for yawning because I know that you have to get up because of the time difference we have. So I appreciate you getting up. Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay. I had
to mention it, but
I'm being very good today, as you know.
No, you're not, but it's okay.
Wait a minute.
It's okay.
Okay. So this is my guy. I really like this guy. Yes. This guy is a beast. I'm telling you, this guy is a beast. Darnell Washington, tight end out of the University of Georgia. 264, 6'7", and running a 4.64. Man, I love this kid. I made a
mistake earlier. I said the kid from Alabama was his running mate. I was incorrect.
Okay. I guess you were talking about this Darnell Washington. Am I right about that?
Well, Darnell Washington was the lead guy. The other tight end is the run blocking tight end. But go ahead, finish with your analysis.
Okay. So I'm enamored with this guy. I think this guy, because of his size and what he's done in Georgia, because Georgia basically is a running team, but and they had some pass catchers, including Darnell Washington. I think this kid is pro ready. I think he can produce right away, even though the 60+ year history says rookie tight ends do not. This guy may be an exception, but he's got to go to the right situation. He's got to go to an offensive coordinator, offensive coach that can effectively use his skill set in the offense. Talk to me about Darnell Washington out of Georgia.
I mean, look at his measurables. He is not the fleetest of foot, but he's effective. 6'7", his comparison, and he's not that good of a blocker, which is sad because of his height.
That can be taught.
Yeah, but the main point is he'll get the job done, and he'll get open. 6'7", he's across the middle dynamo, so to speak. However, here's the thing. I really, truly think he's got to find a taste for the violence of the NFL. What do I mean by that? At his position, at his height, he's going to have to become very violent, very fast. And that's not his strong suit. He can block, but he's a willing blocker. That's code for somebody that really don't want to block, but, willing to block. So that's what I see with him.
Okay. Let's talk to the number one guy. My number one guy. That I think had. I'm trying to think of what tight end. Where did Evan Ingram play? Did he play at Notre Dame?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to think of a named tight end out of Notre Dame. And that the name escapes me, but this guy,
Kyle Rudolph.
Okay, Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph was a decent versatile. He wasn't a Hall of Famer, but he's a decent tight end. No, I'm thinking somebody else, but right now I'm not worried about it. We're talking about Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, 249, 6'4", ran a 4.7. Good athlete, quick, size, natural instincts. Also hard to bring down in the open field, and a very good pass catcher. What's your thoughts on Michael Mayer?
Disappointing senior year, if I'm not mistaken. He was a senior, but not really his fault. New system, new coach. Coach has a great plan in place, but team just not ready to implement what the coach wants to do. So players like him kind of suffered only because it wasn't something they were used to. It wasn't a system that he was accustomed to, right? So Myers is just like his name. People expect him to murk some people.
Okay.
So, and at 4.7, he's not the fastest, but just like his namesake, he's going to eventually get you.
Okay. All right, people. Did we come to the end of the show? And like I said earlier in the show, we're making a transition from what we are right now to what we're going to be. Told you about that. Gave you a look of the new logo that's going to be coming up. I'm going to be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Really?
And Instagram. Okay.
Really?
So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that, because the fact is, we want to get as much information out to you as possible. And in order to do that, I've got to be on the social media that a lot of people look at. And also, come on, really? I don't want to do that. Cancel this.
Oh my God, dude!
I'm trying to share my screen and it's not coming up. Let me share this.
Well, why you're trying to do that? How did you get your streaming service on Instagram because you're supposed to have a business account for Instagram in order to do that.
Let's not talk about this on air, okay? Okay.
That's a question, bro. What are you
Yeah,
talking?
but we're on air, and I've shown the people, and I don't know why it won't show up now. I have no idea why it won't show up now.
I mean, I can tell you, but I'm just a co-host.
I'm trying to share. I'm trying to share the
So
screen, and it won't let me.
just go to presentation.
Yeah, I know that.
Or did you create a new layout? If you created a new layout, all you got to do is just hit that new layout and then bring up that graphic.
You know what? I know.
I'm trying to help you.
I brought it up before, and it won't come up. That's why I'm trying to tell you.
I got it, and I'm telling you a way to do it. Since the way you tried it isn't working.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. For no reason. Next week, fantasy football, I will be at For No Reason, people. So tune in, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. April 16th is when the place is going to be. New look. And I'm also going to be doing a fantasy mock draft on that same day. So I know
excuse me.
And I know my co-host will have a opinion on who I pick at number 12 because I'm just doing a first round for a 12-team PPR draft, 12 through 1. And it's going to be a frisky discussion. Let me put it that way.
No, it won't be.
A frisky discussion. So with that being said, I appreciate you joining me. And we are going to leave. And the last presentation, I shed a tear, of Jerry Taylor presents the master plan. That being said, I end this broadcast. Don't forget about me. I'm still around, but for no reason. I'm still around for no reason. Talk to you later.
Yeah, there's no reason he's around, y'all.
See ya.
That's what he said.